Today is Friday, October 14th. What to know about the latest January 6th committee hearing, from the unanimous vote to subpoena Trump to testify, to some new evidence revealed, and the former president's response. Also, what the latest numbers tell us about inflation, and what a jury decided about the Parkland school shooter that shocked some of the victims' families. Plus, the FDA's warning about Adderall, how much Netflix plans to charge for its ad-supported option, and when to expect it to launch. And you can now use your Starbucks rewards points for travel. Those stories and more news in today's episode. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Will former President Donald Trump be willing to testify? The 9-member House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol last year unanimously voted to subpoena Trump and compel him to testify under oath. As the committee chairman said, quote, "He is required to answer for his actions." It was an unexpected final move during what might be the House committee's final public hearing. The panel revealed some new evidence while also reviewing its overall argument that the violence on January 6th last year was fueled by one man, former President Trump. They say he was a central figure in an effort to overturn the 2020 election and threaten democracy, and that the risk of this happening again is still real. The new evidence included recorded interviews, video footage from the day of the attack, and records from the Secret Service. One key argument was that Trump was part of a plan to declare victory in the 2020 election no matter what, and that the Capitol attack was premeditated. For example, a top aide to former Vice President Mike Pence said in taped testimony he was concerned, even before the election, that Pence might be thrust into Trump's efforts to overturn the results. And a former top Trump campaign official told the committee Trump had planned as early as July 2020 that he would claim he won, even if he lost. That's on top of testimony we've seen from several of Trump's own senior advisors and staff that they too tried to tell Trump to concede, and that, as dozens of judges have also ruled, there was no fraud. But they say Trump refused to listen. Then, newly revealed messages between Secret Service agents showed they were aware of violent threats and plans leading up to January 6th, and some even knew people in the crowd that day were armed. The committee also played new behind-the-scenes video of congressional leaders who had been evacuated that day, reacting in disbelief to the Capitol riot unfolding and scrambling to make calls to get the National Guard and other security to help. The video was likely meant to show lawmakers were left to fend for themselves, while Trump did little to stop his supporters from attacking the Capitol. The former president quickly posted to his own platform, Truth Social, after this hearing, dismissing it all as a publicity stunt. He questioned why the committee did not try to subpoena him to testify months ago. Many legal analysts say it's very unlikely Trump will get on board. Other critics, who have agreed January 6th was appalling, still felt the committee's hearing was political theater and strategically aired just before the midterm elections. The committee is expected to release a final report by the end of the year. The Justice Department is already conducting its own investigation into the events of January 6th. A shooting in Raleigh, North Carolina last night has left 5 people dead, including an off-duty police officer. Several others, including another officer, were hurt. Police say the shooter was a juvenile who eluded police for hours before he was cornered in a home and arrested. It happened along a walking trail, and people were told to stay in their homes until the suspect was found. There are no details about a possible motive yet. Police are expected to give an update later this morning. Also, in Bristol, Connecticut, 2 police officers were shot and killed and a third injured in what police say may have been an ambush attack with a fake 911 call. The shooter was shot and killed on scene, and the investigation continues. Well, a jury has recommended life in prison without parole for the Parkland, Florida school shooter, sparing him from the death penalty. Nicholas Cruz admitted to killing 17 people at his former high school on Valentine's Day in 2018. But the jury could not reach a unanimous decision, which under Florida law is required to sentence someone to death. One juror told CBS Miami 3 voted against it, and at least one person was a hard no, believing Cruz was mentally ill. Many of the families of those killed were stunned and horrified by the jury's decision. Some questioned the purpose of the death penalty if not for a mass murderer of children. The formal sentencing for Cruz will be on November 1st, though the judge does not have the authority to change the sentence. Still, families and victims will have the chance to tell the court how their lives have been forever changed. Well, there appears to be no end in sight for high inflation. The latest consumer price index that measures what people pay for goods and services shows in September, Prices went up 8.2% as compared to the same time last year. In other words, everything we buy is on average 8.2% more expensive now than it was in September of 2021. But still, the number is slightly down from 8.3% in August. It means inflation is not going away despite what many economists and consumers had hoped, and despite the Federal Reserve raising interest rates trying to get a handle on soaring prices. Consumers have seen prices for food, energy, and housing rise sharply. But even when you strip out food and energy, other prices were up 6.6% in September compared to the same time last year, and that number is a 40-year high. This latest report likely means the Federal Reserve will stick to its plan to raise interest rates again next month. All right, we have more news coming up still, but first, a quick break for our sponsor. Anyone else in need of cleaning out their closet? I am. But what's at least comforting this fall is that I don't have to worry about my shoes. My Rothy's shoes are high quality and durable and even machine washable, so they last me season after season. And Rothy's classic styles are always a closet essential. You may think of the point or the flat when you think of Rothy's, and those are great. But they also make ultra-comfortable sneakers, loafers, boots, and more. I love that my white lace-up sneakers from Rothy's go pretty much with everything. And because they're machine washable, they're so much easier than other shoes to keep clean. With Rothy's, I never have to worry about blisters either. And that's really important to me. Every pair of Rothy's shoes I've received, no matter the style, are comfortable right out of the box. So get stylish shoes versatile and durable enough to wear all the time with Rothy's. Get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/newsworthy. That's ROTHYS, rothys.com/newsworthy. The FDA is confirming it now. There's a nationwide shortage of Adderall. That's the drug commonly used to treat ADHD patients. The FDA says the main producer of the drug, Teva Pharmaceuticals, is experiencing labor shortages and manufacturing delays. The result? Pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens are having trouble filling prescriptions. Millions of Americans rely on Adderall to treat ADHD. It helps patients focus and concentrate, and demand for the drug has gone up in recent years. During the pandemic, diagnoses of mental health disorders in general increased. There's actually been a shortage of Adderall since August, but this week marks the first time the FDA has weighed in. Teva officials told CBS News they expect an inventory recovery in the coming months. But in the meantime, companies that make generic versions of Adderall are stepping in to keep up with demand. Netflix has now unveiled the details about its cheaper subscription option coming soon. And yes, you'll have to watch ads. 15 to 30-second ads will play before and during shows and movies. And this new ad-supported tier will not allow users to download shows onto their devices. It's Netflix's first entry into advertising. The plan will be called Basic with Ads. At $6.99 a month, it's $3 less than the current basic option. It's set to launch on November 3rd. Disney Plus then plans to launch an ad-supported option about a month later. America's two largest supermarket operators could soon become one. Various news outlets are citing sources who say Kroger and Albertsons are in talks to merge. Kroger owns stores in 35 states, including Ralph's, Fred Meyer, and more. Albertsons has stores in 34 states, including Safeway, Vons, and more. Some business experts say the merger makes sense. Grocery shopping in the U.S. has drastically changed in the past few years. So this would enable them to compete with bigger retailers like Walmart, which is actually the biggest seller of groceries in the U.S. But this type of deal might run into roadblocks with regulators, who may say they're both too big to combine forces, and that could stifle a competition. A potential deal could be announced as soon as today if talks don't fall apart, so stay tuned. Apple is pushing further into the world of banking and finance. The company says it'll offer savings accounts for Apple Card users in the coming months. And like Apple's credit card, the savings account is operated by a partnership with Goldman Sachs. Essentially, it'll automatically put money earned through Apple's credit card reward system into this new savings account. There will be no fees or minimum deposits. However, it's still not clear what interest rates will be tied to the accounts. Meanwhile, Starbucks is teaming up with Delta Airlines to offer a new travel perk for loyal customers. Starbucks Rewards members can now earn 1 mile for every $1 spent at the coffee chain. As an extra bonus, Starbucks members can earn double reward points on days they're scheduled to fly Delta. The companies say in order to qualify, customers must link their Starbucks Rewards and Delta SkyMiles accounts on a special website. We'll link to it in today's episode notes on thenewsworthy.com. Country music fans, some of the biggest names in Nashville are set to perform at a star-studded event airing tonight. The CMT Artists of the Year celebration will honor Kane Brown, Cody Johnson, Luke Combs, Walker Hayes, Carly Pierce, and Lainey Wilson. CMT has named them as the top country artists of the past 12 months. Alan Jackson will also be recognized during the event as CMT's Artist of a Lifetime. The show airs tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 Central on CMT. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, thanks to our sponsor. So we've reported about it right here. The labor market is tight, and things are always changing. So when you need to hire, you need high-quality candidates fast. You need Indeed. Yep, find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Indeed's U.S. data found that most employers said it saved them days of hiring time after using Indeed's virtual interviews. As for Indeed's assessments, on average, applicants who scored proficient or higher on Indeed's reliability assessment were twice as likely to be on time for work. These types of tools are just part of the reason over 3 million businesses worldwide use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why when you sponsor a job, you only pay for quality applications from resumes in the database matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/newsworthy to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/newsworthy. Indeed.com/newsworthy. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Now back to Feel Good Friday. Today's story comes from Portland, Oregon, where dozens of young students come together every week for a so-called bike bus. An educator launched the first bike bus on Earth Day this past April. It's a caravan of kids joining forces to bike to school together. It was meant to introduce the kids to a more earth-friendly way to get to school. But it was such a success that the teacher kept doing it. The crowd of students and parent volunteers grew and grew, so much so that the bike bus became a weekly ritual. In just 5 months, it's doubled in size. Now, 30% of students at the school participate. We're talking about 170 kids and volunteers coming together each Wednesday, rain or shine. The mass of smiling kids now even brings out the neighbors. The community lined the streets cheering, waving, and taking pictures of the sea of young cyclists led by the school's PE teacher. And no child is left behind. The school offers bikes for any students who might not be able to afford one. Now, the magic of the bike bus is spreading outside of Portland, too. One mom posted a video of the bike bus heading down the street on TikTok, and so far, it's gotten more than 7 million views. We'll share it on Instagram today. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode about the impact of social media beauty filters. Then join us again Monday for your next news roundup. For now, thank you so much for listening and have a great weekend.